everyone. Welcome back to A Cherry on Top's channel for Technique Tuesday. This is Sarah. This month's theme is texture, and as soon as I saw this month's theme, I knew exactly what new product I wanted to play with. So we're going to play with Espresso Glaze. This product is from Brutus Monroe. We're going to pair it with a coffee bean stencil. And we're going to talk about this amazing, cool product that's not really like anything else on the market. So the first really awesome, cool thing about this product is that it smells like coffee. It smells like coffee when you open it and it's wet. It smells like coffee after it dries, which means your project has this like lovely kind of very subtle like coffee smell to it along with all this great texture, and it is absolutely fabulous. So this medium is really thick and really textured, like really textured. There's lots and lots and lots of beautiful, like so much texture. I don't know what's in it at all, right? But between the way it smells and the way it looks, there has to be ground coffee in it. There has to be, right? Maybe not, but I really think there is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 2 cards today, and I'm going to show you a technique so that you don't waste any of your beautiful mediums and get 2 backgrounds out of one. So first of all, this medium is going to look completely different when it's dry. So when you first take it out of the jar and you kind of smooth it over your stencil, you might be a little bit put off by the color. It's not, if you ask me, it's not the most pretty color wet. Let's just put it that way. But dry, it is gorgeous. You're going to see it in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm putting the espresso glaze through the coffee bean stencil. And once I have a good coverage so that I know that everything's kind of, everything's filled in and good, I'm going to pick the stencil up. I'm going to ever so slightly, and I'm going to flip it over. Watch this. And I'm going to drop it right on another piece of paper. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab and what this is called just totally left my head. Brayer. It's called a brayer. I'm going to take a brayer and I'm going to go ahead and run it over the back, pull it up, and then we're going to let both of these papers dry and then cut them down. So here's the one that there's the one that has the stenciled piece, right? And then here's like the messy one, which you can still see it and it's a little bit different, but do you see how different they look when they're dry? We're going to pair those backgrounds with flannel season paper from Brutus Monroe and that adorable Coffee Critters stamp set from Gina K. I don't know why the Coffee Critters stamp set is still in stock in the shop, but since it is, we are using it because it's so stinking cute. Off camera, I did stamp the elements from the stamp set, and I colored them using Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers. That is my personal favorite coloring medium, but you, of course, could use whatever you like to color with. So I'm going to create 2 cards. They're going to be pretty easy. So I have the first one. That card panel is 4 by 5 1/4. I inked it up using Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to do that with all these layers. So basically, I just chose some scrap pieces from that flannel season paper pad because I've already used it. And I just trimmed them down, die cut a couple of circles to house my focal images and my sentiment, and that's it. Super simple cards. I'm going to grab my Misty, and I have a stick and stand mat from Brutus Monroe in my Misty to hold onto that circle beautifully. I am going to go ahead and use these two colored images, the llama and the bear. Okay, that llama is like my favorite thing ever, let me just say. And then I'm just looking at the different sentiments in the stamp set to find the one that will fit between my two cute little critters. And I'm going to use this one that says, "How have you been?" Next, I am going to stamp my sentiment with Catherine Pooler icing on the cake ink. And I'm going to stamp this a couple of times so I get a really deep, dark brown impression onto that little circle so you can read it easily. Next, included in this stamp set is a little coffee bean stamp, and I wanted to create like just a little bit of interest across the bottom of the page that will kind of allow my little critters to not be floating off in the air, but will have a little bit of a bottom or a place to kind of sit, right? And instead, I could have used a couple different things for that, but nah, I wanted to use the coffee beans. So I grabbed a scrap piece of paper. I popped it underneath my die cut circle because inking on your stick and stamp mat, not the best. Not the best. I will tell you that right now. I've done it. Not the best. It doesn't clean up real well. So for future reference, put a little scrap paper underneath if you're going to stamp off the edge of something. So I'm going to just add these cute little coffee beans. We're going to do much more with these coffee beans later on with our second card. But for now, we're just going to go right across the bottom. And then to balance that all out, we're going to do just a couple in the upper left part of our circle and kind of snuggle some coffee beans in beside our sentiment. Whether you adhere a paper onto this espresso glaze on a card, on a scrapbook page, use tons of glue. This has so much texture on it and it doesn't really want to hold on to that paper. So my best advice when you are adhering anything to this espresso glaze, which is super chunky, it's got all that texture, right? You want to use a lot of glue and then put something heavy on top of your card. I just used acrylic blocks. They worked perfectly. Give them a couple of minutes so that wet glue really like dries and adheres to the espresso glaze. You really need to give it just a little bit of love, a little bit of pressure, and a little bit of time. I thought about adding a little heart in here, but decided I didn't really like it. So I'm going to go ahead and set those aside, and we're going to work on our second card. So again, I just grabbed some little rectangles and strips from the flannel season paper. And then this time I cut a circle from a piece of craft cardstock. I'm going to find a way to layer these up that I really like. And then I'm going to go ahead and start building my card. I'm actually going to go ahead and start with the circle piece. I'm going to ink up the edges of all of these layered pieces, but we're going to do some extra stamping and do some extra fun things on this circle because that is our focal image. So I really want to use this sentiment on this card. So this card kind of started with this sentiment, and then I have this adorable, this is the third little critter on the Coffee Critters stamp set. It's a little fox, and I also colored a little coffee cup up to match. So my plan for this card is there's my sentiment, there's my little critter, and then all around the edges of this circle, like all the way around, we're going to go ahead and add little coffee beans to it. So the sentiment for this card is life is better with friends and coffee. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stamp the sentiment. I think I stamped it 2, maybe 3 times. Again, just because I wanted that really deep chocolate brown. I love this color from Catherine Pooler, this icing on the cake color. It is such a perfect brown. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment, and then I'm going to take those coffee beans and I'm going to move that stamp all of the way around my ink edged circle, moving my little scrap paper along the way, which will allow the extra ink to get onto the scrap paper and not onto my stick and stamp map. Once I've stamped all around the edge, then I'm going to go ahead and add my cute little fox and his little cup of coffee right beside him. And then I can go ahead and kind of start to get these cards together. So here's that card that was underneath the acrylic mat. It is dry. Once that glue dries, you are good to go. It's not going to move. It's not going to shift or fall off, and you're okay. But it's just really getting that initial wet glue dried and adhered to that beautiful texture. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Lots and lots and lots and lots of glue. Layer everything up and then put an acrylic block right down on top of it all so that it all gets adhered down really, really well. And again, just lots of layers. All of the papers from in the flannel season 6x6 pad are double-sided. So if you start to work with it and you don't like how 2 papers look against each other, just flip it over. And probably the other one will work just fine. This is a really great paper pad for fall because it's just all the colors and it's all just this flannel pads, and you can use it for mix and match it with other things. So there are the 2 cards. I went ahead, put them both under acrylic blocks, let them sit and get thoroughly dry. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop them right onto 2 card bases. I just used my tape runner, and the card panel's finished size is 4 by 5 1/4, which gives you a nice white frame around your finished card, which I really do enjoy. So that will complete my project today. Thank you so much for stopping by. I would absolutely love it if you could hit that like button. And if you could leave a comment in the description box of a little coffee cup emoji. Those are 2 super free ways that you can help my channel and A Cherry on Top's channel and all channels. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.